exclusion that happens. So for example, if the kids don't want, they say no, so-and-so can't play with them. You might say, well, what is Sarah going to do that you're worried about? You know, what are you worried about? What is she going to change if she comes into your game? And they will usually say, well, she's going to hit me, or she's going to knock down my castle I've been building for the last 10 minutes. She's going to, they will tell you what they're worried about. Usually the newcomer has no idea. They weren't going to hit her. They weren't going to knock down. But there's a hidden fear. And if you just ask, well, what's going to happen if she joins you? Then that hidden fear will come out, and they can make a guarantee, I won't do that. And then oftentimes they're accepted. But also sometimes kids want to be with a special friend. If you're 3 or 4 or 5, 6 years old, you're just experiencing your very first friendships. I mean, you've been at home, or you've been doing parallel play, and all of a sudden there's a whole world of peer friendships, and it's exciting to have your first friendships. Think about who the most important people in your life are. Your family and your friends. And friendship is something to be valued and something to help nourish if they're learning their first friendships. They don't know much about what being friends is. So often they'll think, if we disagree on, I'm Batman, you're Robin, who's doing what? And you say no. Oh, but you're not my friend anymore. They mistakenly think that friends agree on everything. And you can teach them. I know friends can disagree. I know friends can have different ideas. They need basic information like that. But they have a right to have one-on-one time together with 1 or 2 chosen friends and to exclude others. And that is a way of helping them nurture those friendships. And if somebody comes along and wants to join, it's okay to respectfully reject them and say, I'm busy playing with Tom right now. I'm busy playing with Olivia. Maybe we can play later. It's like I'm busy playing with the truck. It's no different. I'm busy playing with this person. I'm busy playing with this object. So I might play with you later, but right now I'm doing this. That teaches resilience. It's a social risk for the kid to try to enter a game and be rejected sometimes, and to let them know they might say yes, they might say no. Kids need to take social risks all their life. And the earlier they do it in a safe environment, the more courage they will have. We all take social risks ourselves. It's not something to overprotect them on, and if we're calm about it, I think we all feel that we had pain of rejection at some point, so we get really scared. We don't want our kids to be feeling that pain. But we have to encourage risk-taking, and it can be done respectfully. Once in a while, a kid will reject another person, and that's okay. It's just like sharing a toy. But if it happens over and over and over, if there's one kid who's chronically being rejected, well, that's important to know. That's really important to know. You see that better if you don't force the friendships. Because if you force the friendships, you won't really notice who's being rejected all the time. But if you allow it to happen, then you'll notice that someone's always being rejected. And that happens in about 10% of the cases for all kids. And those kids need our adult intervention because it will not be turned around. Sometimes it's a kid who needs some special services or to look into autism or various things. Sometimes it's a kid who bosses too much. There's no diagnosis. They just don't have the friendship skills, and they need some guidance. So kids need adult help some of the time, and when we allow them to reject each other, we can spot the kids who need our help more easily. That's one reason why I really like rejection. So I'm just going to wrap up. Early childhood is really a time of risk. It's a time of physical risk. It's a time of social risk. It's a time of emotional risk. And it's a time when kids are learning 2 fundamental lessons: how to cope with their emotions and express them appropriately, and how to cope with conflict. And all of this is learned best through free play. So I know that Danielle wants to do something a little more here. We can take some
But we have time for questions
Okay.
if you want. I know I have one at the very end that's more, it's not a lot of theory into it, it's just a matter-of-fact question. But
And I have the books here for sale. They're usually $16, and Danielle asked if we could sell them for $12 today, so they're $12. And I can sign them if you want. I have cards if you want to take some to pass out to other people. And I have a blog on my website. It's my name, it continues this conversation all the time, so you're welcome to join that as well.
Do you guys have any questions, especially about what happens at Acorn Glen? Does anything come to your mind that you feel you need some guidance on?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm thinking specifically of, I guess it was probably Thursday. But like, so 2 kids, one I had no idea what happened, but one had a toy, one wanted the toy, grabbed it, they're locked in physical struggle over, of course, a hard, sharp edged, toy that can hurt somebody. And neither one of them can be pried away from it, and they're both screaming furiously, so you can't, I don't think they would have noticed if you picked up a pen to write a note. I mean, they're just so at it, and you could barely separate them. How do you even start to break through? Once you finally do get them apart and they're not hurting each other, how do you begin to break through that? I'm so mad that I won't even listen to anything that you're saying, let alone what the other kid is saying.
Mm-hmm. Well, you do have to physically have.
That was hard enough.
That can be hard, but you are bigger than they are at this stage.
Yeah, but it took at least 2 people and maybe even a third for the object itself.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was a doozy.
Yeah.
Sometimes days are.
Good,
are
I wasn't there.
So you have a couple different things. One is two kids at once who are very out of control.
Yeah.
So sometimes if in a cooperative preschool setting, you might have 2 adults. You might need to have 1 adult on each kid who can start to express their emotions before they can talk together. Because the goal is eventually to have them talk together and explain what they didn't like, because there was something that each one did not like, or they wouldn't be at each other. But you may not always have the luxury of 2 adults. So then you just have to decide, do triage, which one needs your help at the most right now. But make sure that you are, one thing is to put your hand on somebody. So if you're listening to them, or the waiting chat, if you're listening to this person say what she doesn't like, put your hand on the other person. That's a reassuring motion, physical pressure that lets that kid know, I haven't forgotten you, and you're going to get your turn to speak. And then when she's speaking, you can put your hand on this one. That can be helpful. Also, you walk in and you don't know what was happening. You just see, we often don't know. It's okay that we don't know. We're not the judge and jury here. We're trying to help. The kids will have their version of what happened. So try to get out of your mind that you have to know who's right or who hit who first. It doesn't really matter. What you can do is just stick with what the facts you know. Say, I see 2 kids who are really mad and crying. That's all you know, right? I see 2 kids who both wanted this sharp object, whatever it is. So state what you know, and then try to have them express their feelings. It doesn't matter so much what the truth is. What matters more is getting their feelings out and then getting them to an emotional place where they can problem solve. I know when I was first a parent, I really wanted to be right. If this child was the one that hit that one first, I wanted to magically know the answer so I could always pick the right one to defend. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Just state what you know and then help them express their feelings. I mean, it might take a while. If they're that revved up, it might take a while.
It felt just like emergency management.
You're doing your most important work as an adult at that point. A lot of the times they don't need you. They need you there. And that's when you need to be there for them.
Eventually, too, I think we'll get to a point where the children realize that we're here to help facilitate that process. We're early in the
And
year.
trust all of the other adults.
Yeah.
We're early in the year, so when they see the adult intervening, they don't always see it as a safety net. They see it as like you're going to stop what I'm trying to do right now. So they'll get used to it. But we stopped it physically. Unfortunately, it was the end of the day, so the kids really didn't get to come together and talk about it.
So something like that, and of course often happens just at an inconvenient time. You can also teach emotional lessons when kids aren't mad. You can read books about them, or you can, you can do puppet shows. So if that happened at the end of the day on a Monday, then on Tuesday, Danielle can get puppets out, and she can have the blue elephant and the yellow giraffe have the same thing happen that happened to those 2 kids yesterday, and they reenact it. And then the puppets turn to the kids. They say, help us, how do we do it? And then the kids will give ideas to the puppets. They love helping the puppets with their problems. And then they start to realize, oh, maybe I can do that. It takes the shame and the blame away from the kid by having it be the puppets working.
Yeah, it empowers them to be the helpers, too.
Yeah. So that's a way to, especially a big incident or some complicated things that go on day after day, you can have the puppets reenact what the issue is. So.
Jared, did you have a question?
No.
Anybody else?
Anybody warm?
Yeah, I know with the windows it does get quiet. I have a question. Okay, so we break for snack at about 10:15. And that is our time to potty and hand wash and then have snack together. I'm really grappling with this, and we're going to vote on this at the end of today. I'm grappling with whether or not to abolish a routine snack time. And the reason why is because we have a 3-hour day. Already it's cut half hour at the end and about 20 minutes in the beginning for circle and just our rituals, you know? So then to put right in the middle of it, this big, huge transition, I feel like we're taking away part of that beautiful hour and a half, 2 hours where we could have uninterrupted play.
Right.
Could you elaborate on how School for Young Children handles the hand washing and the pottying and the snack in a morning kind of program?
They have open snack, so they have nutritious, non-allergy food out, and they have, you know, they train the kids. Here's the food. Here's you wash your hands. There's a sink right next to the food. And you're hungry. Anytime you're hungry, you wash your hands. You get some food and you eat. If you're not hungry, you don't eat. And yeah, that's been. I remember when I was 4, there was open snack. Back then we had peanut butter.
Yeah, right.
I would say that something's bothering you. You know, you feel like you're interrupting that block of play, and usually when something is bothering you, it's time to make a change. That's true of all of our parenting. If something's bothering you, that it's gotten to a point where you're ready to make a change in some department. It's a good signal. So I would say that makes sense to me.
So at School for Young Children, I'm guessing they trust the children to decide when they need to go pee and poop and wash their hands.
And sometimes it's messy.
Yeah, and the beginning of the year I can imagine is more difficult. Lots of changes. And
It depends on, you know, the age that you're dealing with, but yes.
okay, so guys, think on that, because at the end of today we will decide, because our nature walks are like 5 minutes in the woods.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, I
The
agree.
kids are having a hard time transitioning from snack.
transition
You have
is
to throw-
difficult.
like, I find that I have to throw like everything at them to get them to come in and wash their hands. And go
And for
potty.
those of us who have infants in tow, I feel like it's the 15 minutes of horrible, like
Yeah.
this is the most horrible time of the day. So
I don't know how
think
much
about
they're
it.
getting out of it either. I mean, the structured. I mean, they're certainly eating more than they were at the beginning, or at least on Wednesday. That's the case.
And
but-
it used to be like, oh, it's social. Their whole darn day is social.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm starting to really question it. But think on it, and we'll, decide if you want to bring up any points as to why we should keep a designated snack time. Think of your kids.
Could we maybe like designate a place, like a station for them to eat? Like I was talking about open snack. We have stations for everything else. Play in this room, that room.
Is it wonder also would it
They're
be
gonna get
reasonable-
hungry.
Well, especially if when snack can be outside, is it reasonable and legal to set up soapy water outside? Do they have to go all the way into the bathroom to wash their hands before they eat, or is there
It's
another way
supposed
to
to
do
be
it?
running water. However, I have seen places do outdoor sinks with a hose
Okay.
like fitted into
Yeah.
things, and so it's not a no.
My
We
mom's
just have to
preschool
put
has
minds to
outdoor
it.
snack all the time. If the majority of kids are outside, they bring the snack outside.
And are you also talking about not making them go to the bathroom?
I am. I'm talking about having adults be aware that someone is reaching for snack. Hey, did you wash your hands? And then it's going to take a little bit of logistics to like figure out who can help that child wash their hands while leaving the other kids supervised. But it's about getting them in a routine. And yes, we're probably going to have many a kid not wash hands before they eat because no one caught it. Yeah.
You can also, if you have a change in your program, and the kids have gotten used to there's a snack time, you can have a puppet introduce the concept of, well, now I can, I was busy playing, I didn't like being interrupted, and now I can have snack whenever I want. You can use puppets for a lot of things, including a change of program.
Well, and what about the fact that they don't wash hands before they have story and surprise snack?
Surprise snack. They don't wash hands then, yeah.
I can't remember
You
the
can
last time
use-
you watched
oh,
it
maybe
before
you
eating at
can.
our house anyway.
I was going to say, a lot of story times I've been to that pass out a snack, they use hand sanitizer. I don't know if you're allowed to in this kind of program,
As
but
long
they
as you
do.
have
in-
access to running water, you're not supposed to. But when Kim Hambright comes in and has her licensing badge on,
Yeah.
you guys know what to do.
Yeah.
questions, that anything really bugging you that goes on during your day that you need some guidance on? No? Okay. Sweet. All right, we're going to go ahead and close the curtains. We're going to let Heather sign all of our training certificates. And we're going to close the curtains and turn on a 15-minute Bev Boz video, and then we'll hand out training certs and Acorn Run